This city has been empty for more than 25 years. No traffic, no voices, no movement. But inside, nothing has aged. Beds are still made. Books are still open. Shoes are still under desks. Not broken, not damaged, not decaying. As if the people here only stepped away for a moment. And the strangest part? This place was never meant to be abandoned. There was no disaster, no emergency, no warning. People just left. That's not normal. Far above the Arctic Circle, on a frozen island suspended between Norway and the North Pole, there is a place that most maps barely acknowledge. A city called Pyramiden. For most of the year, it is surrounded by ice, darkness, and silence. Not the quiet of nature, but a deeper silence, the kind that feels intentional. At its peak, over 1,000 people lived here. Families, workers, children. They went to school. They watched movies. They played sports. They planned futures. This was not a temporary camp. It was a real city, built to last, in a place where almost nothing survives. But today, when you walk through its streets, there are no footsteps, no voices, no signs of struggle, just buildings, standing exactly where people left them. That's the first thing that feels wrong. Cities don't usually end like this. When people abandon a place, there is damage. There is chaos. There are signs of desperation. Broken windows, looted rooms, walls stripped bare. But here, nothing looks destroyed. Nothing looks rushed. Wooden buildings from the 1960s still stand straight. Classrooms remain arranged. Apartments are still furnished. It feels less like a ruin and more like a decision, almost as if the city itself agreed to be left behind. People who visit Pyramiden often describe the same feeling, a sense that something is missing. Not objects, not people, but time itself. Your brain expects decay. It expects collapse. It expects nature to fight back. But nothing here does. The city resists aging. And that resistance is what makes it unsettling. And the deeper you look, the more unsettling it becomes. Because Pyramiden was not abandoned by accident. It was constructed with intention. Every building, every street, every luxury. This city was built by the Soviet Union during a time when appearances mattered more than reality. A time when ideology needed proof, not on paper, but in physical form. Pyramiden was meant to be seen, photographed, visited, pointed at. It was designed to say, look what we can build, even here, even at the edge of the world. So they built luxury where luxury had no reason to exist. A heated swimming pool, a cinema, a concert hall, sports facilities, unlimited food, high wages, comfort in a frozen void. On the surface, life here looked perfect, almost unreal. And in a way, it was. Because beneath the image, the city was slowly failing. The coal mine that justified Pyramiden's existence was never truly successful. Extraction was difficult. Transport was expensive. And every year, the numbers looked worse. But failure was not something the Soviet system liked to admit. So instead of collapsing loudly, Pyramiden began to disappear quietly. No headlines, no announcements, no warnings, just a decision made far away that would erase an entire city without leaving a mark. When the decision finally reached Pyramiden, it did not arrive like a disaster. There were no alarms, no emergency broadcasts, No visible panic, just an instruction. Leave. Families packed only what they could carry. Clothes, documents, small personal items. Most things stayed behind. Furniture, books, toys, entire lives left exactly where they were. That detail matters, because when people flee in fear, they take everything. But when people expect to return, they leave things in place. Apartments were closed, not stripped. Beds were made, not abandoned mid-sleep. School desks remained filled, notebooks still open, chairs pushed back slightly, as if class had just ended. There were no farewell ceremonies, no final photographs. The city wasn't emptied in a day, but it emptied without resistance. And then the ships stopped coming. One by one, windows went dark. Heating systems were shut down. Pipes drained. Doors locked. Outside, the Arctic took over. After the last ship departed, one person remained behind. Not by accident, by design. His task was not to live in Pyramiden, but to close it, to walk through an empty city, building by building, and make sure it could be left behind without destroying itself. He checked heating systems so pipes wouldn't burst. He shut down generators, drained water lines, locked doors that might never be opened again. At night, he did not stay in the same place twice, not because of superstition, but because of isolation, because sleeping in the same room every night, in a city with no other human presence, does something to the mind. Outside, polar bears roamed freely, silent, curious, unpredictable. They walked through streets that had once been filled with children. They approached buildings, pressed against windows, tested doors. The caretaker slept lightly. Some lights were never turned off, not because they were forgotten, but because the city was never officially closed. That detail matters, because legally and psychologically, Pyramiden exists in a strange state. Not alive, but not fully dead. That is one of the reasons why nothing here was looted. There were no scavengers, no black markets, no roads leading anywhere. There was nowhere to take things, and no reason to try. But there was something else, a mindset. In the Soviet system, state property was not personal. It was untouchable. What belonged to everyone belonged to no one. So when people left, they didn't take pieces of the city with them. They left it intact, preserved, frozen. Today, visitors describe a strange sensation when they walk through Pyramiden, a feeling of being watched, not in a supernatural way, in a psychological one. The human brain expects sound, footsteps, wind through trees, distant movement. But here, there is almost nothing. No birds, no insects, no background noise. The silence becomes overwhelming. Hallways stretch longer than they should. Rooms feel larger when empty. Mirrors reflect movement that isn't there. Psychologists call this absence presence, the sensation that something should exist, but doesn't, and that absence becomes a presence of its own. In the center of the town, a statue of Lenin still stands. It was never removed. It faces south, toward Moscow, toward the future it believed in. Even during the long polar night, when the sun disappears for months, the statue remains in place. Waiting. Pyramiden is often called the best preserved ghost town in the world. But that description is misleading. Ghost towns feel destroyed. Pyramiden does not. Nature has not reclaimed it. Trees do not grow through its streets. Roots do not tear buildings apart. Permafrost locks everything in place. Snow insulates. Cold preserves. Time slows. Even today, a small number of caretakers return seasonally. Tourists visit under strict rules. No one leaves the settlement alone, not because of crime, but because the Arctic is still alive, and it is not forgiving. Step too far beyond the buildings, and the illusion breaks instantly. This place is not peaceful. It is hostile, which makes the city's calm even more unsettling. Pyramiden was never meant to fail. It was never meant to become a museum. It was never meant to be remembered this way. It was built as a message, a statement, a demonstration of what was possible. And when that message was no longer needed, the city was simply paused, not erased, not destroyed. Paused. Most abandoned places tell a story through decay. Pyramiden tells its story through restraint, through silence, through the feeling that something important stopped mid-sentence. And sometimes, what's left unfinished is far more disturbing than what is completely gone.